I know. Them damn Cowboys won. I don't care. Don't be blowing up my phone. Don't be telling me nothing. Y'all gonna find a way to mess it up later on down the road. I'm not gonna talk about them today. There's so much more to talk about. That's what halftime is for. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Halftime with Dizzy. There's a lot to talk about. There's been a lot that went on in the football world over the weekend. Before we get into it, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Tell a friend if you're not. Make sure you drop a comment if you agree or disagree with anything I have to say. And yeah, let's get right into it, man. Over the weekend, there were a lot of upsets. I was hoping that the Cowboy fans would be upset again this weekend, but it's all good. There were a lot of upsets, and what I mean by that was there were teams that were supposed to win and they wound up losing. Teams that were more talented but wound up losing, and I found myself being asked a lot, dang, like, how did this team lose? How did these teams lose? On social media, it seemed like everyone was surprised that teams lose. At the end of the day, this is football. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Yes, typically the more talented teams win, but it's still football. You still got to go out and play no matter what the odds say, no matter who's favored to win what. You still got to go out and play the game. And if one team is feeling it one day, they're going to beat the other team. That's just how it is. But to me, it comes down to there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that it comes down to. I won't get into all of them, but one of the bigger things that I feel it comes down to is this question right here, which is who's going to rise and who's going to shrink when adversity hits. I'm not going to say in big games because this weekend it wasn't necessarily big games, but it was when that challenge hit, when that adversity hit, who was going to step up and say, I'm going to make a play, and who was going to step down and not be the one that their team needed to make a play. And we saw a lot of upsets, like I said, starting in the NFL with the 49ers versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns is a good football team. I'm not going to act like they're not talented or they don't have a good team, but they were down Deshaun Watson. They had P.J. Walker as their quarterback. They're down Nick Chubb for the year. So you're looking at this matchup and saying, okay, the San Francisco 49ers should win this game. The problem ended up being that Brock Purdy shrunk. It seemed like Christian McCaffrey went down, Deebo Samuel went down, and we didn't see the Brock Purdy that we got used to seeing. And it seemed like as soon as those guys stepped off the field due to their injuries, we saw Brock Purdy do things that we're not accustomed to seeing him do. And it started with this play right here. It's 3rd and 11. The Browns have been playing man-to-man all game. Kyle Shanahan knows that. And it's simple levels concept. You're going to get digs from pretty much everybody. Dig. He's going to run a shorter one. And here's the route that he tries to throw to Brandon Ayuk. Now, again, it's man-to-man, and he's going to try to throw this route to Ayuk, who's covered by this guy. If you see right here, it's already, this guy has outside leverage because he can't get beat outside. His help is right here, inside. And so when the ball snaps, he's going to jump outside, especially when Ayuk gives that outside stem. He's going to jump outside. This guy drops back. So this zone right here is going to be wide open. This is where the ball needs to go. The one place that Brock Purdy cannot miss this throw is outside because that's where the defender is going to be. And when you hit play, that's exactly where he misses. Misses outside. Bad ball. Emerson comes up with the pick, and that's a big play for the Cleveland Browns defense. And so there were other plays that we looked at and we saw that's not the Brock Purdy we've been seeing for the last however many games that they've been winning. And because he kind of took a step back when adversity hit, that's a big reason why San Francisco 49ers lost. Now, I want to focus more on who stepped up, who rose to the occasion. And it was a guy that going into this game, you didn't look at it and say he's the best player on the field. Amari Cooper, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. This is a guy that ever since he left Dallas, we haven't heard his name as much in terms of some of the big name receivers. And what better way than to remind people who you are than against the best defense in the NFL? So he's down here. It's going to be hard to see because of the little score ticker, but he gives moves off of the line and then gets outside. And that's going to be important for that last clip that I'm going to show you. But check this clip out. Little move off the line. Drops to the corner like a AI crossover. Juke move. Ends up getting hogged down like Ricky and Boys in the Hood. But that was a big play. You're down 10-0 against the best defense in the NFL. That's a big play. Moving on to this next one. Again, now he's up here. He's going to give a little stutter off the line and get going. Now the corner does a better job of guarding it, but again, this is reminding the league of who you are. Let me go up and get it. Rebounding like Shaq. Big time play, and again, look at what it does to the team. A big spark plug, a big energy creator that play was for this team. Now, this last clip, again, I told you to pay attention to the releases, and this is just a little, if you're a receiver, these are the type of things you want to put in your bag because, again, this is one of the better receivers in the game, and this is where that veteran experience comes in. So, all game you've been getting them with the stutter, and then you're going to take off this way, right? So now, this corner is anticipating that, and he's going to get out his pedal and get going. So now, instead of that, you're going to stutter, take a step or two like you're going to go outside, and you're going to come back in on the slant. Just a beautiful route. Stutter, slant. Catch, first down on a drive in the fourth quarter where you got to try to go win the game. This led to a field goal, and then offense will come back on the field, score another field goal, wound up winning the game against San Francisco, and Amari Cooper was a big reason why. Next up, the other big-time upset in the NFL was the Eagles falling to the Jets. The Jets, I mean, people have been trying to write them off since week 1 when they lost Aaron Rodgers, but they keep fighting, man. This defense is real, and they showed that this weekend. They showed how much they can still compete with these teams, especially when they had no Sauce Gardner. They had no DJ Reed. They had every reason to sit there and say, well, this season's over. We got no Aaron Rodgers. We had all this hype in the offseason because we got him. He's gone. Our season's gone. No, they fought. They fought. And it caused Jalen Hurts, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, to shrink. He, to me, is a reason why this Eagles team lost. And they've been struggling for the last few weeks. And they finally take their first L. I want to go to this play late in the game, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. It's 3rd and 9. Worst case scenario, if you're Philadelphia, if you're Jalen Hurts, you don't get this, you punt the ball, and you make Zach Wilson and this offense who, if you look at the score, is 14-12. They didn't score a touchdown the whole game leading up to this point. It was all field goals. So at worst case scenario, you make Zach Wilson and that offense drive against your top 5, top 10 defense. But instead, Jalen Hurts just makes a bad play, and it's a play that we're not accustomed to seeing him make. New York does a good job of making things look weird. Linebackers walked up. What are these two guys doing? This picture just looks weird. It ends up being he's going to rush. This nose guard up here is going to rush. He's going to rush off the edge, and these guys in the back end are going to get to cover 3. So you're going to get deep third. He's going to run out to your curl flat. He's going to hook curl. This guy's going to drop back to your hook curl. He's curl flat. On offense, what the Eagles wound up running is kind of a, curl hook concept, if you will. He's going to run a curl. He's going to run off. He's going to run off. He's going to run a curl. Now, this might not be the best looking picture in terms of drawings, but if you ask me which guy is probably covered the most just based off this drawing, it's this route right here. And guess where Jalen Hurts ends up throwing to? Just a bad read on his part. Again, worst case scenario, you punt it and you make New York drive down there with 2 minutes and no timeouts left. Throws a bad ball. Interception. Leads to the New York Jets going on to score the game-winning touchdown and winning this game. Now, I am in no way trying to say that this is how Jalen Hurts will be from here on out in terms of big moments and challenging moments. But in this game, he shrunk, and he wasn't the only one. Devontae Smith dropped passes. The Eagles as a whole, they shrunk, and they shouldn't have lost this game, but they did, because, again, if one team, one unit comes out and says, we're going to punch you in the mouth, we're not going to let you bully us, we're not going to let you win, that likely becomes the outcome. And the New York Jet defense made sure that they didn't get bullied around. And one guy that I want to point out specifically is Jermaine Johnson, number 11, linebacker for the New York Jets. So if we start with this play right here, one thing that coaches will always say, they can teach footwork, they can teach technique, they can teach the playbook, they can teach any of that stuff. They cannot teach effort. And this play to me is just pure effort. So you're going to get a screenplay from the Philadelphia Eagles. So this guy's going to come out block, this guy's going to come out and block, this guy's going to come out and block. Your tight end's going to come up the field and then come underneath, essentially so that you can catch the ball and you'll have three big guys out there running and blocking. Jermaine Johnson is over here on the other side of the play. Just watch him and watch the effort he gives and what it results in. Sees it, knocks the ball loose. Quentin Williams comes up with it, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, get the oxygen mask out. Big play, all caused by the effort of Jermaine Johnson. Next play, again, more effort, and it causes another turnover. You're going to see him just a lot of speed, and because of that speed, he's able to mix in different moves. He's going to bull rush and then go up the field and then duck underneath to get to Jalen Hurts, and it causes him to throw an interception. Bull rush up the field underneath, hit the quarterback, interception late in the game. Big time play by Jermaine Johnson. Big time plays by this New York Jet defense all game. And that's why they ended up winning this game. And they weren't favored to win this game. They were supposed to lose. They wound up winning because of the big plays they made on defense. Moving on to college football. Upsets there as well. USC, they're favored to beat Notre Dame. They're the 10th ranked team in the country. Notre Dame's the 21st ranked team in the country. USC's supposed to win this game. I picked them to win this game. And Notre Dame comes out and just straight up punches them in the mouth. And it starts in the trenches. And that's where I'm going to stay. The O-line of USC, they shrunk. They saw the challenge, they saw adversity, and they shrunk. The D-line of Notre Dame, they elevated their play. They rose to the occasion. And it starts right here, early in the game. So what you're going to get here is play action. So he's going to fake here. Your guard's going to pull around for, essentially, it ends up being this guy. He's out. And so since your guard's pulling, your center's supposed to come off here for that guy. But he ends up slanting in here. So the center passes that off to this guard. Tackle's going to block down on the tackle in here. So it essentially ends up being the center and the tackle for this guy out here. And just a poor job of getting over there. And the DN ends up splitting the double team. Center tries to throw his towel at him like it's a Mario Kart banana peel. Interception in the first drive of the game, and it winds up leading the points for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This next clip here, it's the same play action. So you're going to get this guy to pull around. He ends up tripping. These guys do a better job of picking up who they're supposed to pick up. But because your guard trips, the running back kind of picks up the DN, but Caleb Williams still kind of feels that pressure. And because of that, he doesn't see Taj Washington right here, who ends up being open on a little slant route. If you press play here, ball snap, comes out the pocket. And here, you have a guy open right here. He doesn't see him. I mean, look, he's heading this way. Again, bad play by the offensive line. Caleb scrambles. Bad throw, bad decision by him. Another interception. Now again, as the offensive line of USC kind of shrunk and kind of kept taking steps backwards, the Notre Dame defensive line, they were elevating their play. And look, here's a clear example right here. Number 51 off the edge. He's going to go here, stutter, and just sprint around the tackle and make a great play on Caleb Williams. Stutter, Boom, ball out. Almost a fumble recovered by Notre Dame. Caleb Williams ends up coming up with it. Big play to end the half when USC's trying to get something going. Moving on to this next play. Now, here's what happens on this play. You're going to get a stunt from this guy and this guy. What's going to happen is he's going to shoot here. He's going to shoot up the field and then loop underneath. It ends up confusing the right side of the line right here. Now, as someone who typically blocks on offense, I know some of the tells of a stunt. Some of the tells are either their alignment, which means, so this guy is going first, correct? This guy is going second. So usually what that would mean is he's going to back up a little bit to give him a clear path to go here so that they don't bump into each other, essentially. He can go there, and then he can have a clear shot there. That's the first tell. The second tell is tempo, which means the first guy that's going to come off the line, he's going to go full speed. And then the second guy who's looping behind, he's going to go slow and then go underneath. They both shoot off the ball very fast. He comes here, he shoots upfield and then loops underneath. This right tackle, I mean, he looks like he saw a ghost. He doesn't know who the heck to pick up. Bad communication by them, but just a great stunt by this Notre Dame defensive line. And it results in another sack. Notre Dame D-line was in the backfield all game long, and that is a big reason why they were able to get the big win over USC. The final one, Colorado versus Stanford. Now, Colorado was up 29-0 at halftime. I mean, I turned it off. I laid down, got me some ice cream, started watching a movie on Netflix, was about to go to sleep. All of a sudden, a couple of my friends hit me up. Are you watching the Stanford-Colorado game? Are you watching this Colorado-Stanford game? And I'm like, no, like, the game's over. They were up 29-0 at halftime. I turned the game back on. They're in overtime. Stanford goes on to win the game. And so in terms of who shrunk, I'm not even going to get into that with Colorado. Everybody shrunk. Dion, Shador, Dion Jr., Travis, the whole coaching staff, the principal, the fans, the dang Buffalo that runs them out before the games. Everybody shrunk. If you let up a 29-point lead in the second half, everybody shrunk. So I'm not going to get into who shrunk for Colorado. What I am going to get into, though, is this man right here. Number 13, Alec Annemeyer. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce dude's name. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But regardless, dude was different. Dude was balling almost 300 yards and pretty much single-handedly won Stanford this game in the second half. So it starts with this play right here. We talked about it earlier with moves off the line. He's going to set up a good move and run a slant. And, I mean, I talked about it last week. There's players that are good and there's players that are great. If you can catch a ball at the 3-yard line and take it all the way, that's being great. That's being above and beyond. Your team hadn't been scoring points up until that point right there. You said, I'm going to take it into my own hands, and you balled. So, great play there. And I've been part of teams that have come back down big at half, and then we come back in the second half. The talk in the locker room, in the huddle, is always, let's take this one play at a time, one drive at a time, one quarter at a time. And it looks like Stanford had that approach. And when you have a guy that you can turn to and make big plays, that belief is going to become a reality. So you're going to see here, he's going to come across, he's going to go into the flat. Tight end here is going to run a little spot route, slot fade from big 1-3. Great ball by the quarterback here. Puts it on his back shoulder. Only he can grab it. And then again, being great. I'm going to outrun everybody. Nobody's going to tackle me. I'm going to take this into my own hands, and I'm going to help my team win this game. And he does just that. We fast forward to overtime. There's nothing really to draw up. All I'm going to say is this guy right here, you need to be over here. There has to be some safety help. I understand that this is Travis Hunter, one of the best athletes in all of college football, but this guy, like I said, nearly 300 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. You got to say, look, I'm gonna let one of these guys up here beat me. But number 13, he's not gonna beat me. They don't have that approach, and so guess what? It goes back to number 13, head tops, get in the end zone, and Stanford winds up winning this game in overtime. And again, it's because one player rose up to the occasion while the rest on the other team, they shrunk. They weren't up to the challenge, and that's why teams wound up losing games that they're supposed to win. Moving on, staying in the Pac-12, there was an absolute thriller between Washington and Oregon. A big game, one of the bigger games of the season. I was of the mindset coming into this game that the winner of this game would move into the top 5 of the power rankings, and Washington won this game, and now they're ranked 5th in the country. And I'm not talking about this game because of power rankings or because of the National College Football Playoffs, which those are important, but to me, it was all about Michael Penix Jr. Heisman moments, Heisman moments, Heisman moments, and especially with the game that Caleb Williams had that I just showed, Michael Penix Jr. widened the gap. He widened the gap, and he's the front runner for Heisman. There's no debate. I told you a few weeks ago that it came down to arm talent, pocket presence, and a high IQ. He displayed those. We'll start right here. First drive of the game. Gets a jump off side. I told you last week that when you're throwing a fade ball, you have to either throw it to where only your receiver can catch it, or it's incomplete out of bounds. You cannot miss inside. Michael Penix Jr. throws the perfect ball outside to start off the game. A statement right there. Moving on, I also told you about pocket presence, which means I'm going to stand tall no matter what. Even if there's a defender coming to knock my head off, I'm going to stand tall and I'm going to deliver a ball to my playmaker. It's 3rd and 8, fourth quarter. You're down in the game. If we pause it right here, this ain't good right here. This guy, he's about to blow the quarterback up. And if you go back to the video earlier where Caleb Williams had Taj Washington open over the middle, perhaps if he stayed strong in the pocket, he could have seen him. This is what Michael Penix does here. He doesn't scramble. He doesn't try to run away. He says, I'm going to stay strong and I'm going to give the ball to my best playmaker. Does just that. First down in again, tight situation. You needed a first down. You're down on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. Now this, to me, these next 2 plays is where Michael Penix Jr. had his Heisman moments. Your defense got the ball back for you. It's 2 minutes left in the game. You're down. You need a touchdown to take the lead. And Michael Penix shows why he's a Heisman Trophy front runner right here. So you're going to get a slot fade from this guy. When the ball is snapped, Michael Penix Jr., he's going to take a peek this way to his single receiver. And that's going to get this guy to move just a little bit. And what happens is he's going to throw the true definition of a hole shot. Drops back, fires the ball. How many quarterbacks are fitting the ball into that window right there in between 2 defenders? What a play right there. And it leads to this very next play where, again, arm talent. He's going to say, I'm just going to give it to my best guy to win us the game. And he does just that. Washington goes on to win this game. They're now a top 5 team in the country, and Michael Penix Jr. is a Heisman Trophy frontrunner. Moving on, going back to the NFL, I'm going to give you my top 5 teams currently in the NFL. I feel like now that there's no more undefeated teams, you can get a true sense of who the best teams are and who to look out for, who to watch for. There's a couple that might surprise you. Now, again, this is only right now where we stand today. In a few weeks, this list will be different. I'll give this list again, and it'll be different. But as of right now, this is my list, and I'm gonna start with some honorable mentions, some teams that are not gonna be on this list. Starting with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I said it. I know they're the reigning, defending Super Bowl champs, but they are not on this list, and that's because the big question mark is who's gonna make plays for the Chiefs offensively outside of Travis Kelce. That question has still not been answered, and to me, that's a problem. That's a problem if you're going to get in these playoff games and get in a shootout with the Miami Dolphins, with the Buffalo Bills. You're going to need other people to step up, and to me, until they figure that out, they're not a top team in the NFL. Next, the Cowboys. They are off this list. Now, all jokes aside, they are a very talented team, and on paper, one of the better teams in the NFL, got one of the better defenses in the NFL. But to me, this win over the Chargers wasn't as big as it needed to be to make me say, okay, yeah, they're a top 5 team again. To me, you barely win by a field goal. If Justin Herbert doesn't overthrow 2 passes to Keenan Allen, they lose this football game. So I'm gonna leave them out the top 5 for now. I think they still have some things they need to clean up, but still a very good football team, but just not top 5 for now. The other honorable mention I have is the Baltimore Ravens. To me, just a little too inconsistent. 1 minute they're good, 1 minute they're not. I think we need to see a little more consistency, especially out of that offense, for me to say, okay, they are definitely a top 5 team and no doubt a Super Bowl contender. So now, without further ado, my top 5 teams in the NFL, starting with number 5, the Buffalo Bills. If you can have this Josh Allen that's not going to be reckless with the football, if you can have this Josh Allen that's not going to be on a different page than his receivers like Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, he's going to make the right reads, make the right throws, be smart when he leaves the pocket. That combined with the defense led by Von Miller, it's going to be, they're a top 5 team no matter what. They're going to be a problem for any team that they match up with. So, kind of like the Ravens, a little up and down, a little inconsistency. That's why I have them at 5. They beat the Giants. They lost to the Jags last week. But, again, the way this team matches up with others, I think that they're definitely a top 5 team. They ain't top 4, though. Number 4, the Detroit Lions. I've been talking about them for weeks. And now you see, I have them as a top 5 team in the league. I got them at number 4 because consistency. What are you going to get from the Lions? You're going to get heavy run game, smash mouth football with Montgomery and Gibbs in the backfield. And then you're going to get play action pass, throwing it over the middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to make plays. Now you have Jameson Williams back. You're going to play action. You're going to go deep. He's going to take the top off defenses. He's going to make plays. And then you have this defense that's a pure reflection of the head coach, Dan Campbell. They're biting off kneecaps. They're running through brick walls. Aiden Hutchinson is nothing to be played with. I got the Detroit Lions as the number 4 best team in the NFL right now. They ain't in the top 3, though. Top 3. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they're coming off an ugly loss. I didn't think they looked good at all. They haven't looked like themselves, the same team from last year, to me, all this season. But at the end of the day, they're still the reigning and defending NFC champs with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You got Jason Kelsey. A little bit of a question mark with the status of Lane Johnson. I think that's a huge loss. But Jalen Hurts is still running the show, and you still got a really good defense. And that's why they're a top 3 team in the NFL still. Moving on, top 2. Number 2, the 49ers. Yes, they're no longer the best team in football, in my opinion. And the only reason why I say that is because you don't know the severity of the injuries that they suffered on Sunday. Debo, McCaffrey, Trent Williams. Those are the 3 biggest names on offense and the 3 biggest reasons why Brock Purdy has had success. And again, Brock Purdy didn't look like the Brock Purdy we've been seeing once those guys went down. So for now, I'm going to have them at 2. And once they show, or Brock Purdy shows that he can elevate and be good regardless of who's on the field, then they're easily the best team in football. But right now, they're not. The best team in football is easily the Miami Dolphins, the track team, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel, man, with that creativity on the offensive side of the ball, the way that they move guys around and are able to get guys in position to score no matter where they are on the field. Tyreek Hill is, to me, arguably the best player in football right now. I don't care if you're talking quarterback, non-quarterback. He is the best player in football right now. And it's because nobody can stop him. Nobody can guard him. It can be a fade ball. You can't stay with him. It can be a jet sweep. Again, you're not fast enough to catch him. And the creativity, again, you can tell that Tyreek is fully implemented now, as opposed to last year, into Mike McDaniel's system. And I don't see, as of right now, anybody stopping this offense, anybody stopping this team. The defense is playing really good, and that's why, to me, they're the best team in football. Again, this will change in a few weeks. I'll do this again in a few weeks, and we'll see what happens. But right now, the top 5 teams in the NFL goes Dolphins, Niners, Eagles, Lions, Bills. Staying in the NFL for some pick'ems, man. Some really good games this weekend. Some teams that I just mentioned in the top 5 matching up against each other. A big one that I got circled right here, man. The Lions going down to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I just talked about the Lions being a top 5 team. I just talked about why the Ravens aren't a top 5 team. Here we go. We're going to see who's really about it at the end of the day. But I put the Lions in the top 5. I kept the Ravens out the top 5, so I got to stand on that. I'm going to take the Lions to win this game. I think their running game plus their defense is going to exploit some of the weaknesses that the Baltimore Ravens have. I'm going to take the Lions to win this game on the road. And who knows, they might become a top 3 team, because 2 of the top 3 teams that I have play each other this weekend. The Dolphins head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. I'm going to take the Dolphins, man. Like I said, that offense is lethal. And the way that the Eagles played this past weekend against the Jets, I don't know if I have as much faith in them to stop a Miami Dolphin team when they kind of sputtered against the Jets. So I know they'll be looking to bounce back. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be fireworks, of course. But I got the Dolphins coming out on top on the road. Lastly, the Steelers are going to head to LA to take on the Rams. Another good game in my opinion, because I think these are 2 kind of sleeper teams that are kind of doing well under the radar. No one's really paying attention to them, but they're doing well. I'm going to take the Rams. Cooper Kupp came back, and that boy, he's balling already. You got Puka Nacua, the rookie, balling out. Matthew Stafford's playing good football, and I think you're always making a safe bet when you're choosing the team that has Aaron Donald, so give me the Rams at home. Next is college ball, man. Another good slate of games. Some good rivalries, some good ranked matchups, starting with number 7 Penn State going down to take on number 3 Ohio State. It's a big one. It's a rivalry. I think this is where all of college football fans are going to be paying attention to. I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take Penn State to upset Ohio State. I still, just ever since that Notre Dame game, I've looked at Ohio State and I've thought, this ain't the powerhouse that we think they are. If it's not for Notre Dame only having 10 guys on the field on that last play of the game, they lose that game. So I'm going to take Penn State with the upset there. Next up, number 14 Utah going to head down to LA to take on number 18 USC. I'm going to take USC to win this game. I picked them last week. They didn't win. I think they got that bad taste in their mouth, and they're going to try to get it out by beating up on Utah. Utah doesn't have a offense that I feel could hang with USC and the points that they're able to put up on the scoreboard. I know that O-line, I think they'll be better. They probably got told a lot about it in meetings about how they need to be better, and they will be better. I got USC winning this game at home. Lastly, number 16 Duke heading down to take on number 4 Florida State. Another big-time game, this time in the ACC. I'm going to take Florida State to keep on rolling and to win this game. Jordan Travis is doing a tremendous job. This defense looks really good. And, yeah, I think there'll be too much for Duke to handle. Give me Florida State at home. Closing out the show, just like I do every other time, it's the halftime speech. It's the final words to kind of get you through the rest of the week, or really the rest of whatever you're going through as you're watching this video, whether that's the week, the day, life, the month, whatever it is, whatever you're going through. This is supposed to be a speech to kind of help you get through it. And a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world outside of football. I love to keep the attention on football, on sports, because I feel like that's where you can kind of get away from everything and kind of forget about everything and just have fun, play the sport that you love. But there's some things that you just can't ignore, and that's everyone knows about the war going on, and it's tragic, man. It really is. And with that in mind, this halftime speech is gonna be kind of geared towards that. I have this book here. Let's see. My girlfriend got it for me. Shout out to her, Tiffany. Love you always. So it's basically verses, Bible verses every single day. And I wake up, I read them, I read the little message underneath them to kind of interpret what the verses mean. And yeah, I read this verse a couple of days ago, and with the war in mind, it kind of was on my heart to talk about it in today's halftime speech. So the verse is Romans 13:10. It says, "Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law." I just think there's not enough love in the world right now, and that's why we have so much of the chaos that we have going on in this country, in this world. Again, I said it before. I'm not big on politics. I don't vote for nobody. Like, I don't do none of that stuff. And I'm sure later down the road, that might come back up, and people will call me crazy. But I just believe in what's right and what's wrong. And right now, going out there and killing innocent people is not right. And there simply needs to be more love in the world. And there's nothing else to say. If you know me, you probably know Tim, who is a big part of my life. He always says after every Bible study back home, go love on someone today. And I think if more people did that, then this would be a better place. So that's my challenge to you as you go on, rest of your day, rest of your week, whatever. Go love on someone. Go, whether it's a family member, whether it's a stranger, show love, because that's the only way we'll receive it back is if we give it. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys know that I love you, every single one of you that watch this video, whether I know you or not, whether we talk a lot or not. I love you guys for all the support and all the love that you show me. Again, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, share with a friend if you're not. And as always, stay tuned. I'll have another video for you real soon.